All right, here we go, man. Let me holler at y'all. Let me plug the joint right quick. Are guys scaring off casual sex partners with too much romance? Are guys scaring off casual sex partners with too much romance? Now, here's the thing, right? And I would tell guys this. If you are a romantic guy, like that's really who you are, right? That's really part of your personality, right? You don't want to necessarily um, hide that from women, but you do want to be mindful of when you introduce that side of you, and you want to be mindful of the frequency of that, and you also want to be mindful of who you introduce that side to. Like I always say, I have a romantic side, but only two of the women I've ever dealt with in my entire life really saw that side of me. Only two. Right? Other women may have saw sprinkles and shit, but as far as like how I really am when that side of me um, is out there, or when I want to display that side, right? Only two women. I married them both. You know what I'm saying? So that tells you how picky I am about when I introduce it and all that type of shit, right? Because I know the potency of romance, right? Especially when a woman loves you. I know the potency of that, right? Aside from sex, I know the potency of that, right? Are guys scaring off casual sex partners with too much romance? Here's the thing. And being a little too romantic or exhibiting or displaying romantic gestures and things of this nature, it can work against you in one or two ways, right? And let me just say this again: being a romantic man, there's nothing wrong with being a romantic man, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But again, you have to be very mindful of when you introduce romance into the equation, and you have to be mindful of who you introduce it to, because consistency is key. Can you be consistent? Right? Once you introduce romance into the equation, if you're not consistent, you're going to have problems. But let me get back to my point. When we talk about how introducing romantic gestures can work against you, there's one or two ways it can work against you. One, if you're dealing with a woman who doesn't really view you that way, and or she just flat out isn't looking to get close to anybody like that, because you do have women you do have women who are out here, right? A lot of women who are not necessarily looking to be in a relationship or looking to get close to any particular guy. It's not to say they're not open to it, they're just not actively looking to do it, right? So in some cases, you might have a woman, she just wants to bust a nut. She just wants to have some enjoyable sex, nothing too serious. And your romantic gesture could be a turnoff for her, right? Because in her mind, she's like, okay, I don't want him believing that this is something that is not. So I'm just going to move away from him. And some women will do that. They won't even communicate with you. They'll just move away from you, right? Because they can already sense it. And it's like, oh, he might be one of these hopeless romantic types. And if he's like this now, I wonder how clingy he might get after sex, right? Because you got to remember, women have had experiences before. So a lot of times when you're coming a little too, mushy with the romantic shit, they're like, I've seen this before, where guys are clingy, possessive. No, I'm not interested. And you might not be clingy or possessive, right? But she might get that read and be like, I'm not fucking with him. So it can work against you that way. Another way it can work against you, and we're going to break this shit down here, right? This is what we're really going to break it down. Are guys scaring off casual sex partners with too much romance, right? So I want guys to understand what romantic attraction is, right? Romantic attraction basically is relationship attraction, right? So let me before we do that, let me just do this. I want people to understand. Okay, romance can exist without sex, meaning you can have a very romantic interaction with a woman multiple times and sex not be involved, and she be literally swept off her feet by that, right? But also you can have plenty of sex with no romance, and a woman can be digmatized, right? Or just be a chick who's intoxicated with you sexually, right? Without any romance, right? Now, when you put both of those together, that's a woman's dream, right? That's a great relationship. A man where she has great sex with, and she has a great romantic relationship with. But let me get to my point. Like that's those are the mixings of a relationship, the romantic shit and the sexual shit. And women want both, but they want them from a particular guy. But they'll take them where they can get it sometimes, right? Hold on, real quick. Let me see if I can find this shit. I thought I had this shit. Okay, maybe I deleted it and shit. I don't know. I'll be doing that shit. Okay, so, but it don't matter, right? Again, romantic attraction is a form of emotional attraction characterized by a desire for a romantic relationship or romantic activities with a specific person, which means non-sexual activities, non-sexual affection, non-sexual intimacy, non-sexual activities, which has nothing to do with sex. Women want this, right? They do want it, but they don't necessarily want it from every guy that they're seeing, right? So so sometimes if you're trying to introduce it and they don't want it from you, that can push them away, right? Now, let me say this real quick. I want to be clear. A woman's desire to have sex with you could be triggered by romantic gestures. Here's the problem though. Okay, and what I mean by a woman's desire to have sex with you could be triggered by a romantic gesture. A woman could go out on a date with you, and she could be, or a woman. Let me rephrase it. You can offer a date to a woman, and a woman, she can think you're attractive, she can believe that you are attractive, but she's not necessarily completely sold on the idea of fucking you just yet, right? So boom, you go out on a date, and maybe it's a romantic date. Or maybe she feels like, because sometimes you can do something for a woman and you don't think of it as romantic, right? It's just what you do. But for her, she can perceive it as a romantic gesture, or she can feel, right? She can feel that. She can feel like what's going on is romantic. She can feel that sense of romance, even if it wasn't your intent, right? She can still feel that, right? So a woman's desire for sex with you can be triggered by that. Oh my God, I had such a great time. I don't want the night to end. You know, I want to kind of wrap this night in a little bow with some great sex. And for a woman, like dinner and dick, right? For some women, right, especially if they're going out on a date with a man they believe is attractive, right? Date and a dick, you know what I'm saying? Or date and dick, right? That works for a lot of women, right? Especially if it's a hint of romance involved, right? So I don't want guys to believe that being romantic automatically will kill a woman's desire to want to fuck you. No. But back to the title: are guys scaring off women? Excuse me, are guys scaring off casual sex partners with too much romance? And we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it, right? Let me just say this real quick, right? When we talk about romantics, a lot of guys out here, you hopeless romantics, right? And this is how you guys get caught up in not having the favorable outcomes with women that you desire. Idealizing the partner. Romantics may have a tendency to see their partner in a partner. This is not my words, right? Because I don't like the word partner, right? This a definition, not my definition, but this is what it means. Romantics have a tendency to see their partner in a positive light, focusing on their good qualities and perhaps overlooking flaws. So this could be because a woman is, she's very meek and docile, has a very pleasant personality, very, very pretty, but maybe she's a little inconsistent. She takes forever to respond to texts. She has flaky tendencies, but you guys do see each other, right? But because you're so attracted to her, you idealize her and you overlook these flaws, right? Or maybe she is a moody chick, bitchy. Maybe she has a slick mouth, that type of shit, right? So let me go ahead and hit y'all with this. Many romantic gestures are motivated by sexual and or sensual attraction, right? And this is where guys get into trouble, right here. This is where guys make their dating lives hell, right? You either have a difficult time getting casual sex because of it, or you can still get sex and it's because of it. It's because of the romantic gestures and all of that. But this is what happens though. If a woman is having sex with you, mainly motivated by what she believes, doesn't matter what you're doing, right? Or what you think you're doing. If she's having sex with you based on what she believes is a romantic gesture or a series of romantic gestures, oftentimes the sex is going to be tied to that, meaning it's not going to be a one-time thing, exceptions aside, meaning there's going to be an expectation from her that you guys continue to date and continue to do those non-sexual things, where you're exhibiting, romantic gestures that's literally triggering her desire to want to fuck, right? The problem with guys is they believe that they have to display romantic gestures, if you will, right, to get sex, because they just want to have sex. How many callers have you heard call in and they're having these dramas with women, all these different type of issues with women, because all they wanted was sex. These guys, these individuals, all they wanted was sex. Well, if all you want is sex, you never want to introduce romantic gestures at all. If all you want is sex, you never want to introduce romantic gestures. Now, if you're the type of guy, you just got a certain charm about you and you got a certain way you do things, and women find that to be romantic, you can't control that. That's on her, right? But you still have to be vigilant, diligent, and also mindful, though, right? Just be mindful and be consistent with how you move. But if you have a certain way about you and women just feel that sense of romance around you, hey, you can't help that. But always be mindful of how women are responding to what you're doing. Be mindful of how women are responding to what you're doing, right? Again, many romantic gestures are motivated by sensual and or sensual attraction. Excuse me, sexual and or sensual attraction. So guys want to do shit like take women to dinner. They want to do shit where it seems kind of special for the woman. And you can get into trouble doing that shit, especially if it's not within your wheelhouse and if you're only doing it because of the woman. And most guys, they get into trouble with that because they can't keep that up. They can't be consistent with that. And they were only motivated to do that to get sex. So once they're getting sex, the motivation is no longer there. So guys fall off when it comes to doing that shit that initially enticed women. And it wasn't because she was sexually attracted to you per se. It was because of those romantic gestures that made her say, oh, I like this. He's kind of cute. Why not? Maybe he'll surprise me sexually. Maybe I like it. Like, I don't think women think like that. So let's break this down, guys. Are guys scaring off casual sex partners with too much romance? So let's break this down. Romantic love and sexual desire, while often intertwined, are distinct constructs with independent neurobiological underpinnings. And I'm going to break that down. And I'm going to break down why it's important. Again, romantic love, which is the relationship shit, the non-sexual shit that women love so much, right? And sexual desire, while often intertwined, are distinct constructs with independent neurobiological underpinnings. We're talking about in your fucking mind, psychological shit. While one can spark the other, they don't always coexist or coexist with equal intensity. What does that mean? That means a woman's desire for you romantically may be stronger than her desire for you sexually. And the only reason she's fucking with you is because you are giving you're giving her what she wants romantically, right? Likewise, or conversely, a woman's sexual desire for you can be stronger than romantic love, which makes it easier for you to influence her to accept the fuck buddy position. Y'all see how that works? Do y'all see how that works? Now, when we talk about neurobiological underpinnings, neurobiological underpinnings, all right? Basically, what that means is, okay, it refers to distinct neural mechanisms and processes that support different cognitive functions or behavioral phenomena. Okay, we got to break down what that means because we're talking about some biological and psychological shit. And let me just say this about that. Sexual attraction is biological. It's biological. This is why when guys try and overanalyze women and sex, they try to bring too much logic into it. And you cannot use logic when you're debating sex. You cannot, unless you're talking about STDs, that's the only way you can really use any type of logic. When you're talking about STDs, that's the only way, right? When you're talking about just unadulterated sexual desire, sex appeal, sexual attraction, sex, nah. That shit is biological. And lust is psychological, right? That's a whole nother thing, right? So anyway, so let's get back to this, right? Independent neurobiological underpinnings refer to distinct neural mechanisms and processes that support different cognitive functions or behavioral phenomena, meaning that women can easily separate, right? Depending on how they view sex. They can easily separate romantic love from sexual desire, meaning women are highly capable of having casual sex encounters while consciously and purposefully being emotionally unavailable. See, a lot of guys, they like to talk about pair bonding, right? No. What they are experiencing are women who are purposefully and consciously not being emotionally available to these guys. So what these guys, how they interpret that is, oh, she can't pair bond because she's promiscuous. She's had so much sex, she can't bond to me because I fucked her. And I fucked her quite well, but she's not really sweating me like that. She's not really calling me back like that. So she can't pair bond. No, dumbass. Women have the ability, the majority of women, if not all women, have the ability to separate romantic love from sex, meaning they can fuck you and not care about you. They can fuck you, they can like the fact that you fucked them the way you fucked them and not really be thinking about you like that. Thanks for the nut, buddy. Damn, you were amazing with your tongue. She gives you all these compliments, but you still can't get her to come back over. She just wanted a nut. She was curious about you, right? You quenched her curiosity thirst, and she's good on you now, right? Guys can't fathom how that can happen. And the reason why you can't fathom how that can happen is because you do not understand women and sex. You think women are supposed to view sex a certain way, but they don't. None of them do, right? Which is cool. I love it, right? The next point I want to make. An overwhelming rush into romantic love might overshadow or even diminish the intensity of sexual desire for some individuals. Let me read that again. An overwhelming rush into romantic love might overshadow or even diminish the intensity of sexual desire for some individuals. Why do you think I tell you guys? All women should be fuck buddies first. You want to develop, assuming that you're going to be dealing with a woman, right, for an extended period of time. You want to develop a strong sexual relationship. Mutual sexual attraction needs to be there. And it needs to be there now. It needs to be there right away. You need to see it right away. Mutual sexual attraction. And then if and when you guys have sex, mutual sexual compatibility or sexual chemistry. It needs to be there. She needs to have a strong desire to be entered by you. She needs to have a strong desire to want to be touched by you and to want to touch you. And you need to see that desire now. You need to have a strong sexual relationship. And the reason why it needs to be strong is you need to make sure that you own the sex. And I'm not going to break that down. I'm not going to break down what that means right now. But you need to own the sex, not the woman, not her body, the sex. Not the woman, not her body. She's free. Remember, free will. Everything she's doing is consent, freedom of choice. But you need to own the sex. Right? Now, again, so let me get back into this. An overwhelming rush into romantic love might overshadow or even diminish the intensity of sexual desire for some individuals. This could be because the focus shifts from physical intimacy to emotional bonding and commitment, according to Psychology Today. Now, do y'all see the depths of how y'all fuck up inadvertently? So when you approach women and you are you are mainly motivated to have sex with her, but you're overly friendly, maybe even platonic, and maybe even a little romantic with your gestures, you literally can have a woman shift from the possibility of having sex with you to now putting sex on a back burner and being more committed to extracting that romantic shit you've been showing her. Because she wants to see more of that. She already knows you want to fuck her. She already pondered fucking you. But look at all this attention you're showing her. Right? Look at this non-sexual shit that you're doing, these romantic gestures. You might not look at it like that, but if she does, that's all that it takes. Again, this could be because the focus shifts from physical intimacy to emotional bonding and commitment. So when you approach women with that indirect, vague, ambiguous shit, and you give them the impression that you want to date them, they're like, I would have been down to fuck him without a date. But now that he's talking to me like this and doing this, I want to see what's behind door number 2. Door number 1 is dick. I know I can have his dick. But behind door number 2 is possibilities. Dick and possibilities. Romantic possibilities. I need some romance in my life right now. So if I fuck him too quick, he might not do that shit anymore. Let me stall him out for the sex. I need that romantic shit that he's been showing me. Y'all see how y'all can fuck y'all shit up? In essence, while strong romantic love can be a powerful motivator for sexual intimacy, jumping into romance too soon can potentially create a dynamic where the focus on emotional connection might initially overshadow or even suppress the sexual desire component for some individuals, particularly women who are more likely to link love and desire. Are guys scaring off casual sex partners with too much romance? Here's 2 ways you're scaring off casual sex partners. 1, a woman who would have considered fucking you, she don't want to deal with you at all now because she gets the perception that you might be a little too clingy for her. Whether it's true or not, that's her perception. The other way you are scaring off casual sex partners is that chick that you're being a little too friendly with, right? You're being a little too extravagant with your dates with. She would have been down to just be a casual sex partner. But now that you're showing her that side of you, or what she believes to be that side of you, now she's going to make you wait for sex. And she's not going to be a casual sex partner. She's trying to be a girl that you're dating. and potentially even your girlfriend, or guys scaring off casual sex partners with too much romance. Think about this shit out here. I'm out. Peace.